Welcome to another Skiff Wanderer tips and tricks video. This video, I'm going to be talking about wade fishing, why you should do it, the gear you need, and some tips so that you have success on your next wade fishing adventure. So why should you wade fish? The first reason you should wade fish is it slows everything down. And if you're a beginner, this is really important. So when you're fishing from a skiff, the skiff's moving, the wind's pushing you around, and when you get out on your own 2 feet, you can slow everything down, and when you see a fish, you can just come to a complete stop. The next reason to wade fish is you can set up your wade in a way that the wind and the sun are at an advantage to you. So you can put the sun at your back, you can put the wind at your back. When you're fishing from a skiff, that's not always an option. A lot of times, like when I'm fishing from the skiff, that's what I try to set up, but you can't always move the skiff in that way. So wade fishing allows you to set the wind and the sun up in a way that helps you out. One of the other reasons why you should wade fish, especially as a beginner, is typically your shots are going to be a lot shorter. So if you don't have your 60-foot or 80-foot cast dialed in, but you know you can make a 40-foot shot when you need to, typically that's probably the longest you're going to be casting while you're wade fishing. All right, the last advantage of wade fishing to me is it makes the fish a little less spooky. So when you're fishing from a skiff, between you, your buddy, and the skiff, you're looking at about 1,000 pounds. When that goes into a small back lake or pond, the fish feel that water change as that displacement from the boat coming in pushes the water around a little bit, and it puts the fish on edge. When you're wade fishing, you're on your own 2 feet. That's the only weight entering a pond. And so while you do lose some eyesight advantage from being on a skiff, when you get on your own feet, you can actually get a little bit closer to these fish because they're a lot less spooky. All right, gear, essential gear for wade fishing. First of all, pair of good boots. Personally, I like to use a pair of Simms Flats Pro. As you can see, I've had these for 6 years. They're beat up, they still work fantastically. When you're looking for boots, number one thing is don't get a pair of boots with metal on them. I don't care how well you take care of your gear, the salt water is going to eat that metal up and you're going to need a new pair of boots pretty quick. Now, if you don't feel like spending the money on a pair of boots, just go to Goodwill, pick up an old pair of basketball shoes, and you should be good. Just make sure you get something that covers your ankles so that you can tie them tight and you don't have to worry about them coming off in the mud. All right, the next thing that is kind of more optional is stingray guards. Personally, I've never even owned a pair. I don't even know what those things look like. But if you're worried about stingrays, you can pick a pair up. They'll protect your shins from getting hit by a stingray. To be honest, if you're moving fast enough to get hit by a stingray, you're moving way too fast and you're gonna be pushing fish away from you while you're wading. So you should be able to see stingrays. You shouldn't have to worry about them. Now, depending on the time of the year, I do recommend wearing long pants, just some lightweight, breathable pants. This will help with jellyfish in the water. Here in Texas, especially in the summer, we get a lot of jellyfish on our flats and they can tear your legs up pretty bad. I've had some pretty bad experiences wearing shorts while wade fishing and just getting stung the entire time. All right, after that, obviously, you're gonna want a good pair of polarized sunglasses, something that helps you see through the water, especially since you're gonna be probably in about shin deep water, so you're already losing some height advantage. So being able to at least have some glasses that really let you see the water is absolutely key. Now, when it comes to fishing gear for wade fishing, same setup as if you were gonna be on a skiff. For a rod, you're gonna want something in the 7 to 9 weight range, a reel that matches it, floating fly line, 9-foot leader with either 16 or 20 pound tippet. Now, when it comes to flies, I know when I'm wade fishing, I'm typically gonna be in at most a foot of water, maybe a foot and a half. So I know I'm gonna want flies that can handle shallower water. So flies that either have no weight or bead chain eyes are pretty ideal while you're wade fishing. Now, if you are getting out on like a flood tide flat in South Carolina where you need the fly to get down quick, sure, throw some lead eyes on. The last bit of gear you're gonna need is a good waterproof bag. I like to run a Yeti Panga with a sidekick on the back. This gives me plenty of space for everything from fishing gear to camera gear to water, food, everything I know I'm gonna need for the day. Plus, the sidekick gives me easy access to some essential items that I'm gonna need while I'm on the water. What do I put in my Yeti Panga when I've got it out there on the water? Honestly, first thing that I'm gonna tell you guys to throw in there is a rain jacket. I know what you're thinking right now. Pete, we just looked at the weather. We know we don't need a rain jacket. If you've watched me long enough, you know I always have a rain jacket on me. My personal feeling is I've never been mad about having a rain jacket, but I've been pretty upset a few times when I didn't bring one with me. If you're bringing camera gear, now you've got some extra cushioning in your bag for your camera gear. Next thing that's gonna go in there is some spare water. Whether you're going out for an hour or you're going out for 6 to 7 hours, it's always a good idea to carry some water. While you're wade fishing, you're gonna stay a little cooler, so you might not realize you need to be drinking water. Good idea to have it with you anyways. Also, while we're talking about water, bring some snacks. Marathon runners refuel while they're running. Marathon waders should be refueling also. Next thing I'm gonna throw in there is some sunscreen. Always a good idea to have some spare sunscreen, especially when you're on the water. The last thing I'm gonna throw in my Panga is some spare leaders or leader material. The last thing you want on the water is to break a leader and have to walk all the way back to the truck or the boat to tie on a new one. Moving on to the sidekick, I really only keep a couple things in here. A Plan D fly box. The pocket fly box fits perfectly in this. You can load it up with a ton of flies, so you've got plenty of options while you're out there wade fishing. And then typically I'll throw my pliers in here because a lot of times I end up wearing pants that don't have belt loops because for some reason companies don't want to put belt loops on every pair of shorts that they make. I don't get it. I don't understand it. Even with those two things in this sidekick, you got room for your phone so you can take plenty of pics to prove to your friends that you actually caught a redfish because, you know, pics or it didn't happen. All right, tips. Let's get into some tips for wade fishing. First tip that I'm gonna give you guys is to go slow. So while you're wade fishing, if you're trying to figure out what speed you should go at, if you're splashing water around, you're going way too fast. Now, if you're getting from area to area, sure, but you should always think about how fast you're going, how much noise you're making, and try to go slow enough that you're not making a lot of noise. Next tip is go far. So start walking, keep walking, and just when you're about to give up, go a little further. Sometimes the redfish aren't sitting right by where you put in and you've got to get away from that place. I think the longest wade that I did back in the day was about 2 miles from where I put in before I turned around and started heading back. Sometimes it just takes getting away from the ramp, the put in, the walk in to really find that first redfish. All right, the next tip is to plan your route around the wind. So when I get into the water, I'm looking at the wind direction, I'm looking at my satellite images, and I'm planning out my wade so that the majority of my wade, the wind is gonna be at my back where I know I've got my longest and my most accurate cast direction. One of the beauties of wade fishing is if you got to cut across land to get upwind before you get in the water, you can easily do it. Next is plan around the sun. So same thing like we did with the wind direction, we're gonna look at the direction the sun is, we're gonna see where our best visibility is, and we're gonna plan our route around that. So you gotta take the wind into account, and then you gotta take the sun into account. Now, one of the things with the sun that you've gotta be careful about, especially if you're going out early morning or late in the evening, is your shadow. If your shadow hits a redfish before you're able to see it, it's gonna spook that fish out of there. So always try to be conscientious of where your shadow's at and make sure that if you do see a fish, you get a fly in front of his face before he gets into your shadow. Now, I know I just talked about shadow, but those early morning, late evening sessions, they can be absolutely gorgeous on the water, and they can be super ideal for getting in front of redfish. The lighting's a little bit lower, it's harder for the fish to see, you can typically sneak up to them a little bit closer. This is also a great time of day to catch tailing redfish, backing redfish, where your glasses aren't really helping you see through the water as well. You don't have that height advantage. So if you know the fish are going to be actively popping tails and backs above the water, it's a great time to be out there. It's going to help you see your first fish, get close, and lay down that cast. Speaking of tails and backs, if you do see them and you've got the wind direction wrong, one of the beauties about wade fishing is you can take your time, work yourself around those fish, and get yourself to where you're going to have a good solid cast. This is actually one of the things that I absolutely love about wade fishing is it feels a lot like you're spot and stalking big elk or deer out west. You see your target, you didn't have to figure out the best approach so you don't spook it. And I'll tell you right now, if you see tailing fish, those are happy fish. I've sat on a skiff watching tailing fish for 10 minutes filming them. Like, you're not gonna mess with those fish. They don't care that you're there unless you start making a big racket. So just go slow, work yourself around, get that optimal angle, and I guarantee you get that fly into that school of fish, you are gonna get your first redfish. All right, we've made it to the end of the video. I hope that was helpful. I hope you learned some tips. I hope you figure out what gear you guys need. As always, when I do these tips and tricks videos, if you have anything that you recommend, gear you like, tips you like, please leave them down in the comments below. I like to make these videos where if somebody new to this sport can come in, they can watch it, they can pick up some stuff from me, they can go down in the comments and pick up even more tips and tricks from all the experience you guys have. And then, as always, hit like, hit subscribe, all that stuff. If you guys aren't aware, I've started guiding. I've got available dates. So hit me up on Instagram, hit me up in email, and we'll get out on the water together. Yeah, that's it.